Thank you, and ladies and gentlemen, very good to see all of you, and thanks very much to the incoming COP presidency for hosting us. And let me thank all of you for joining us here today at this ministerial dialogue, which is indeed co-chaired by the COP28 and the COP29 presidencies and the European Commission. Dear friends, I think we realized that in Dubai last year, we actually did manage to cover new ground. We agreed that the age of fossil fuels simply must come to an end. And we committed to what many, including myself, view as a bold course, tripling renewable energy capacity and doubling energy efficiency by 2030. And to me, this commitment has always been not just a target, but frankly speaking, the best investment we can make. Renewable energy is homegrown, it creates jobs, it strengthens our independence, and it is already cheaper than the dirtier alternatives. And meeting these targets will cut global greenhouse gas emissions by 10 billion tons by the end of this decade. And to put it into perspective, that is actually more than the European Union's total emissions over 3 years. So it is a very ambitious vision, but I feel it can be done. In Europe last year, we reduced our emissions by 8%, and that was thanks to a rapid expansion in the domain of renewables. And today, over half of Europe's electricity comes from wind and solar, and it has been surpassing all fossil fuels combined. And yet, if you then take a more global look, you will find that emissions still rose by 1.3% last year. So it shows where our common challenge actually is. We must accelerate, and we must turn our clean energy goals into tangible projects on every continent, and frankly speaking, in every of our economies. So let me briefly focus on 3 areas where I feel we can achieve more together. And I'll start by looking into the energy grids. Tripling renewables and electrifying the world will require truly substantial grid upgrades. And the International Energy Agency predicted we need 25 million kilometers of new and improved grid lines by the end of this decade. And dear Fatih, I have to admit, I tried to visualize that. It wasn't easy, how much that actually is. By the way, Europe is investing in this through our 300 billion euro global gateway strategy, which is meant for the world at large. And that means that we're concretely funding projects literally worldwide, from modernizing infrastructure in Nepal to building new high-voltage transmission lines connecting Ecuador and Peru. But of course, the scope is truly global and much broader than that. Second domain, critical minerals. Now, to power the grid, with clean technologies, we of course need a stable and ethical supply of minerals. And lithium, cobalt, and rare earth are the backbone of batteries, turbines, and solar panels. And the assessment is that global demand for these minerals is set to triple by 2030. And for some, like lithium, demand could actually increase 44-fold by 2040. So truly huge, and truly something we do have to take into account. So mining and processing these resources must be done in a way that is truly sustainable and that does benefit local communities. And as co-chair of the UN panel of critical energy transition minerals, Europe is committed to setting high standards for our supply chains. For instance, we've received 170 proposals from projects worldwide, which are then focused on production, on refining, but also on recycling. And only those that actually do meet our environmental and social standards will receive support, as I feel it should be. Because this is how we create a real opportunity for production countries and for their people to actually benefit from the riches of their own land. The third and finally on investment. Renewables, grids, minerals, and I'm telling you nothing new, all need substantial investment. Europe is and will continue to be the largest provider of climate finance, and we have been doing $31 billion in public finance a year when we look into 2023. But of course, public financing alone simply cannot do the heavy lifting. We need to make sure that private sector financing comes in, that it scales up and it matches the urgency of the transition we all face. Today, 760 million people still lack access to electricity, and most of them are from sub-Saharan Africa, a region, by the way, which has vast clean energy potential. So I feel it is our joint task to support them in reducing capital costs to make sure and allow for the transition truly everywhere across the globe. President von der Leyen will announce, together with South Africa and Global Citizen, a new initiative on this next week at the G20 Leadership Summit. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, tripling renewables, doubling energy efficiency, these are ambitious targets, and they can and will make a real difference if we live up to them. And reaching them will cut our dependence on fossil fuels and will bring us much closer to net zero. But it is up to us to make sure that we actually do manage this transition well, so that everyone can harness the benefits of the clean energy revolution. That is the name of the game. And we need to create a space for truly continuous dialogue, and here you can count on the European Union. I'd now like to invite our esteemed ministerial and private sector speakers to share their projects, their thoughts, and their goals. Thank you very much.